So it's almost road season again. I've been sitting on this footage for quite a while, and to be honest with you, the reason for that is it's quite difficult watching. This is all of the races I did last season after becoming a third cat racer, and to cut a long story short, they didn't go very well for me. But I thought now, as we're coming into the new season, I'd look back over the footage, share it, and see if there's anything I can pinpoint about what I did wrong, what didn't go quite to plan, and see if there's anything we can all learn from that about how not to get dropped in the first 10 minutes from a third cat race. So if you're just moving up to third cat as well, if you're this sort of level of rider where you're struggling with these kind of circuit races, then maybe have a look and see what you think, and give me some advice and see what you can pick up from where I went wrong here. Now, I didn't get a particularly good start. I didn't clip in very well, and I was already on the fourth row of the grid because I failed to get there on time for the start and ended up right at the back, which wasn't great. And this particular course, this is Swindon. It's a new purpose-built racetrack, and it's absolutely amazing. It's amazing facilities, but the problem with it is it's really quite twisty, turny, lots of corners, technical, and it's really not my cup of tea. It's not where I excel, that's for sure. Not that I do amazing on the next two courses, which are much less technical. But pretty much I'm on the back foot from the start. I'm chasing on 600 watts here, massive effort, even behind this guy, to try and get back to the front group because of my poor position from the start and my nervousness through the corners on this twisty circuit. And you can see that, we've only done a lap and I'm already miles off the back and chasing on. And this corner here, I'm just taking it a little bit too slowly compared to everyone else. And just that nervousness of not quite knowing how fast you can take that corner safely. And now I'm having to accelerate again out of the corner to try and get back onto the back of the group. I'm up to 174, 75 beats per minute on my heart rate, which is pretty high for me. I probably only max out at 180, so this is a big effort, and we're only a couple of minutes into the race. Again, through that twisty turny bit, I'm off the back, I'm chasing again. I'm not wanting to give up because I've come all the way to Swindon. I've only done a mile, it looks like, and I'm getting dropped. So what am I learning? These twisty technical courses, you've got to get a good start. You've got to dictate the pace. You've got to have the confidence in your ability, know which corners you can pedal through, which ones you can't, and you just have to have that ability to survive the really hard first 4 or 5 minutes of the race, and then it will settle down and it will become easier. But really, the Swindon course is amazing. It makes for really fantastic racing. It breaks the group up massively, and it becomes quite a dynamic sort of race. But the problem for me is I don't yet have the experience and confidence to excel in those kind of races. So let's move on to a much less technical circuit. This is Odd Down in Bath, and as you can see, 1 or 2 corners, lots of really long straights and 2 hairpins. And I quite like how this race starts off with like a neutralised guy on a mountain bike out the front, to kind of make sure that it's an easy start, everyone get clipped in safely, and it doesn't matter quite so much about your start on this circuit, which is really nice. I wish more races would start this way. So after the first corner here, the mountain biker will peel off, and we're kind of nicely bunched up across the circuit here, and it means it's a bit more viable to sit in at the back and kind of draft and not do much work at the start, which is very, very different to how the Swindon race started. So I'm just taking it easy here at the back. My heart rate is much more manageable in this race, 156 beats per minute, and it's all kind of going okay at this point in time. There's a lot of room on the corners. I'm rolling around the corners at pretty much the same speed as everyone else. It's a bit of a sprint to come out of the corner, but it's not that bad, and it settles down, and then I'm back in the group again. So it seems to me that I'm gonna have a better day here than I did at Swindon. So this is the sort of bike racing that I like. You can be rolling around at over 40k an hour, doing no watts at all, and feeling nicely in control. mean, that is until this point in the race. So this is a couple of laps in, just taking this corner nice and steady as we were before, but this, you can see the group's really strung out, and the people at the front are obviously just really going for it. And I think that the issue was that I was just too far back. You know, when it was easier, I should have been a bit more switched on. I was probably thinking, oh, this is going quite nicely, I'll just take it easy. And you can see this lap, it's much different to the last lap where we're all kind of bunched up. Now everyone's single file, and I'm suddenly getting overtaken on the left and really trying to have to work pretty hard to get back with the group, and just hoping that everyone takes it easy again and we can bunch back up, because there's a real danger here that it's race over. You know, I've become detached from the main group, and you can see that I think they are slowing down actually, but it's just too much. And that split second decision there, you can see I've given up, I've gone down to 0 watts, and I really needed to have pushed on there and carried on, try and follow the guy ahead of me and get back on. But it just doesn't happen. I don't think he manages to get back on either. And that's kind of the race over. Really disappointed. I mean, I carried on to the end. I ended up working with a second group on the road, and it was quite a nice race, but at the end of the day, I'm massively out of the points, and it's not the result I was looking for. So let's move on to the last of the courses I wanted to show where I got dropped. Now this one was actually my favourite of the lot, and it's the only one I actually gave up and didn't finish the race, and you'll see why. But actually I really love this course. This is Hillingdon, and it was a lovely hot day, and again we started off quite chill. Everyone's rolling around quite nicely. This guy's going to hit it off the front, but you know, it started off well. I'm quite happy with this, and let's see how long I can last with the group here. Now it's worth saying this is London. It's a really big competitive field. These guys do this race every week. This is the only race I've ever done at Hillingdon, so I'm just finding my feet, getting used to it. But I really like the course actually. It's quite fast flowing. It doesn't have the 2 hairpins like Bath, but it's quite wide, so a lot of room for the big group to stick together through the corners. And whilst I don't think I'm doing too badly here, I'm quite within my limits, and quite happy with the pace that the group's going. As you notice, at no point in any of these races have I been towards the front of the group, and I think that's probably because I don't feel like I belong at the front. I don't have the confidence to be there, but actually you end up having to work a lot harder being towards the back, because you're constantly having to ride back on after every corner. So I am trying to move up here. I'm pretty happy with myself actually. I'm trying to push on, and I'm thinking, well, this is actually a race that I can perhaps do well in, because I don't think I'm necessarily the weakest in the race. I think I am one of the least experienced, but I always start off with a kind of naive view that maybe I can just do something in one of these races. I can just get in a bit of a breakaway, get ahead, get up, ride at the front for a bit, anything to make me think that I'm actually doing something to animate the race. But for some reason I just always kind of take the option of sitting in. So I think that this is something that I really need to work on for next year, is a few things actually. Confidence in riding in these kind of races. I mean, hopefully another season under my belt will give me that. Confidence in the cornering, confidence in my ability to stick in the race and work it around my threshold for the whole 40-50 minutes or whatever the race is. But on the other side of that, I think that I probably raced too much last year for the level of volume that I was able to do, because as soon as it got to the summer I was pretty much racing as much as I could, and it was meaning that I wasn't really doing any training. I was did a load of training working up to the summer, then it got into race season and I was just racing and recovering for the races. And so whilst I felt I did a reasonable job of the kind of the base period, the build period, as soon as it got to race period I was not really doing anything structured at all really. I was just doing my kind of endurance rides and then racing and then recovering and then doing that. I wasn't even doing my sort of chain gangs and stuff like that, which might be okay if I was competitive in every race, but getting dropped every race is not so great for training. And this is where the race really kind of goes wrong for me. So I paused it here, you can see there's a bit of a gap opening up. And the gap in front of the rider ahead of me just continues to grow up. It's absolutely massive now, and this rider on the right comes past, tries to close the gap, and you can see I've just left it a bit too late and the gap's opened up, and I make the decision to go round the rider ahead of me and try to close the gap. But now we're in this section here where you can't pedal because it's the hairpins and you pedal strike, so no one's pedaling. You see I'm doing 0 watts, and then I just take this corner way too wide and just too slowly. And now to get to the back of the group I've got to do a massive effort just to get to the back, and the front of the group are already on the straight going down the hill, and so they're going to be rocketing, and so we have to do a massive effort. 600 watts, but you just see that's it. 400 watts, giving it a go, no. And spoiler alert, both me and the rider ahead get dropped, and we just can't get back on, and it's just because of letting that gap open up and poor positioning around the corners. And so it wasn't even as if it was a fitness thing, it was just a positioning in the group and positioning around the corners, and that's it. That's the end of my race. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you found that interesting. It's something I wanted to do before the new season, just to review some of this footage from where things didn't go quite so well for me last season, and to see if I can learn from it and see if I can get any ideas of what I can do differently into the new season. Well, good luck everyone else, and yeah, see you around. Cheers.